What's up, guys? Harrison Graham here. We got another joint preview coming up. Chase Sr., our host of Eagles Now, and I break down this Black Friday matchup of Bears at Eagles. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. But before we get to that, wanted to get you guys the latest injury news. These are the injury reports from Wednesday, the only full practice of the week for each team. So I think these are going to be very relevant reports. 6 players did not practice on Wednesday for the Bears. Luke Newman with the foot injury. TJ Edwards still dealing with that hand and hamstring issue. I would guess he's back against Green Bay, but not for this one. Noah Sewell with his elbow injury. Ruben Hippolyte with his shoulder injury. So remember, with Tremaine Edmonds on IR, that's 4 of your top 5 linebackers down. Tyreek Stevenson with a hip. I don't think he's going to play. And then Dominic Robinson, who's in the concussion protocol. Also, keep an eye on this later today for the final Bears injury report that's going to drop. Gervon Dexter popped up on the injury report with the hand injury. Now, he was not listed on Tuesday in the first injury report of the week. Those were estimations, I should say. So did he get banged up in practice? We'll see it. It's not a soft tissue, injury, body part, etc. So hopefully he's okay, but that is something to watch. And then these 5 players were all full. Theo Benedict, who Ben Johnson said, we'll see, starts at left tackle. I think it's going to be Ozzie Trapillo, but at least Theo's available. Travis Homer and Kyle Monangai seem ready to go. And then will the Bears activate Jaylon Johnson and or Kyler Gordon? I think with Tyreek Stevenson not able to practice, his chances of playing are pretty low. I would hope/think Jaylon returns for that outside corner position, but as far as Kyler goes, we'll have to wait and see. Still have C.J. Gardner-Johnson, so if you wanted to give him another week, you certainly could. For Philadelphia, DeVonta Smith, is he going to be out? We could have some clarity on this later today. He has not practiced up to this point this week, dealing with a shoulder and chest injury. He also has an illness. Now, if the illness is the major issue, then you would think he could probably be ready for Friday, but if he's banged up, then maybe he can't go on a shorter week. Lane Johnson, we know, is not going to play, dealing with that foot injury. He was a DNP on Wednesday, as was Xavier Gipson. And then starting safety Andrew Makuba has a fracture in his leg. He's not going to play in this game either. But DeVonta Smith is now the one to watch for Philadelphia. That would be a big blow for their offense. Limited Saquon Barkley. I think he's going to be fine. He's just been kind of dealing with that groin issue. Landon Dickerson, they've kind of been managing that knee throughout the week. I think he'll play, as will Reed Blankenship. At least Vic Fangio thinks so. And then we'll see if the veteran Brandon Graham is out there. Then a couple of just deep backup offensive linemen, Willie Lampkin, Miles Hinton. They're dealing with some injuries, but they were full participants. So nothing major to report on that front. All right, there you have it. Latest injury news for both teams heading into this game tomorrow with major NFC playoff implications. If you want the Bears to keep this rolling and get their 5th straight win and their 9th in their last 10 games, hit that like button. And coming up next, joint preview with Chase Sr. All right, we're back at it with another joint preview. Harrison Graham, Chase Sr. I'm the host of Chicago Bears Now. He hosts Philadelphia Eagles Now. Chase, when the season started, the defending champion Eagles, I don't know if Eagles fans thought that the Chicago Bears in Week 13 on Black Friday would have this high of stakes. Yet here we are, battle for the number 2 seed in the NFC. Pretty fascinating how things have played out for both of these teams this year.
No doubt about it, and a lot of people didn't expect the Bears to be in this spot right now and for the Ben Johnson era to get off to a roaring start this early. I will say I put together a list of teams that I thought could go worst to first in their divisions. I put the New England Patriots on that list. I put the Chicago Bears on that list, and I think what we've seen from Chicago, Ben Johnson is clearly the guy. And I think that he's been able to build a really good culture. Caleb Williams has been hot and cold, as evidenced by the sub 60% completion rate, but he's getting better in this scheme. And when it comes down to it at the end of games, he's making some big-time plays. And I think this defense, at times a little bit shorthanded, has also progressed and gotten better under Dennis Allen. And Tim Hightower's done a better job special teams coordinator. So I think coaching-wise, Chicago is in a really good spot. And this has to be the most excited that Bears fans are about their football team in a really long time because we work alongside one another. I know that Harrison has been dealing with a lot over the last few years with this football team. He's feeling pretty damn good right now, and I know a lot of you are as well.
Yeah, we'll get to the quarterbacks in a minute. I think the stories of the Bears this year are a couple things. One, the coaching is so much better than it's been. Ben is a very smart offensive play designer, play caller. He's also proving to be a really good culture builder, which was really the only question people had, which you always have that question when you hire a coordinator. Dennis Allen, say what you want as a head coach. He is a hell of a defensive coordinator. He's really exotic in the back end, times up his blitzes nicely, and like you said, they've been decimated on defense. Might get some guys back. Keep an eye on those injury reports this week on both of our channels, as well as this video is going on both channels, by the way. And while special teams middle of the year, a little shaky, it's gotten a lot better the last couple weeks. Richard Hightower, a carryover from the last staff, which I think for the most part has been a good thing because it's someone, when Ben first took the job, like special teams works with the offense and defensive players. So like, hey, tell me about this guy. Tell me about that guy. So I think having some level of continuity has been big. So A, the coaching, and B, the unsung heroes, Chase. Like every single week in these tight games, they're getting big performances from random guys, and I think that is a testament to coaching and that belief that this staff has built.
Yeah, if I said Tim Hightower, Richard Hightower.
Richard Hightower.
Used to be the special teams coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. But, yeah, you talk about all of this, and this is really what gets the juices flowing for me, for you, for everybody going into this primetime spot, Black Friday. All eyes are going to be on this game. Amazon Prime Video. It's going to be free for people worldwide in like 200-plus countries. And you kind of teed me up with that to start the show. This has massive implications in the NFC playoff race, and I'm frankly very surprised that the Eagles are 7-point favorites in this game. I would smash Chicago +7, getting 7 points, a full touchdown for this game. I just don't think with the way that the Eagles are playing right now that they're going to blow out the Bears. And I don't think this is going to be that get-right game where Philadelphia just all of a sudden gets it right offensively and they're able to just play a clean, pristine game, because penalties have been a problem all year long for the Eagles. They haven't been able to put together a full 60-minute ball game on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense had been playing great, especially since that Jalen Phillips trade, but then against the Dallas Cowboys, one of the more high-octane offenses in the NFL, they really struggled. The Eagles have also been one of the worst teams in the NFL at giving up 10-plus yard passing plays off play action. I know Ben Johnson likes to do a little bit of that as well, and so that's an area that the Bears could exploit. But I'm excited for Bears fans out there because this is a major media market. It's a team with a proud history. It's a great franchise. It's an awesome fan base. And for them to finally have a quality team to root for the first time since 2018, I'm sorry, the double doink game against the Eagles, it's been a long time coming. And by season's end, this game could decide maybe the 1 seed, maybe the 2 seed. The winner of this game moves up to that 2 spot because they'll become, 9-3 on the year. And so I just can't wait for this game to get underway.
Yeah, you talked about some of the kind of inconsistencies. I mean, obviously, Philly's still 8-3. They're having a great year. We flashed the kind of side-by-side with Philly and Dallas from last week. What is the problem? I don't know if they're, problem's a strong word. This is kind of classic Eagles where there's always noise, yet they're 8-3. Like they're still in a really good spot, like in terms of wins and losses. But I think last week was kind of a microcosm of their season in a sense. Now, usually they found a way to win those games, but what happened last week and what is the root of some of their shortcomings this year? I know there's been a lot of talk about the offense.
Yeah, on offense, it's a lot. I would say that they're a very inconsistent unit. Obviously, Kevin Patullo is their offensive coordinator. He's a first-time play caller, and so I think that he at times can lack a play-calling flow, a play-calling feel, and a play-calling rhythm. And what I mean by that, you watch Vic Fangio, who Bears fans know well, call the defense. He has such a great feel for the game. You watch Ben Johnson call this Bears offense. He has a great feel for being a play caller. I think Patullo lacks that. But then on top of that, the Eagles' offensive line last year was one of the top offensive lines in football. This year, they're a bottom third offensive line, especially along the interior. That's really impacted them with pass protection, but also running the football. And a lot of people are saying, Saquon Barkley, is he washed? Is this the Madden curse? Is he worn down because he led the NFL in touches last year? I don't really think it's a Saquon Barkley issue, although he did play poorly against Dallas, lost his footing a couple of times, had a costly fumble. The biggest number that I think backs up one of the biggest struggles for this Eagles team to run the football is the yards before contact. Last year, it was up 1.5 yards from this year. Against the Cowboys, his yards before contact was -5, meaning anytime he got the ball, and this has been a problem all year, he was getting contacted in that backfield, and there was nowhere for him to go. And last year, the Eagles would be able to wear teams down throughout the course of a 60-minute ball game, and they would take leads, suffocate you like a boa constrictor, and then they'd be able to find success running the ball late, and Saquon would pop off a 40, 50, 60-yard run. This year, they take leads, they can't run it, they can't eat clock, then they can't extend on their lead because they're not able to run the football successfully, and those explosive plays have not been there. This is pretty insane, but Saquon has only had one game this year with over 100 rushing yards.
Wow.
And then on top of that, they haven't been great on third downs. They do have the #1 red zone offense in the NFL, but they've just been lacking an identity and an ability to do all of those things. And they've been such a Jekyll and Hyde unit. And it's odd because Jalen Hurts has like 23, 24 touchdowns and 2 total turnovers this year. But when you watch him, he too has been a little bit hot and cold. So I think the OC can be better. The quarterback can be better. The offensive line can be better. And I really do think that if the offensive line is better and more structured, that'll just help out everything. And then lastly, real quick, the Eagles have been one of the most penalized teams in football. And it's come at inopportune times where the Eagles have had these explosive plays, but then they commit a penalty. And for instance, a long play to DeVonta Smith against the Cowboys where you have the ball at the 12, then you go back to the 38-yard line and you have to punt it. And Nick Sirianni likes to preach tough, detailed together. He likes to preach mastering things that take no talent. But this year, the Eagles have been a very sloppy football team, and their penalties by game, Harry, 9, 6, 5, 8, 9, 4, 8, 5, 7, 9, 14. That's 6 games with 8+ penalties. Last year, they had 8+ penalties in just 4 games of those 17. And so they've really shot themselves in the foot a lot on offense as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned the offensive line. I mean, when I think Philadelphia Eagles football in the Jalen Hurts era, it's your stars of your team are the offensive line.
Yeah.
Like everything they want to do is predicated on
Building
getting
the
push up
trenches.
front, running the football. Jalen Hurts giving him more time to throw the football on those deep shots downfield that he likes to take, and it just hasn't been there. Lane Johnson's not going to play in this game. I think Montez Sweat, who's been on a bit of a heater recently, I think that's a potential matchup Bears fans can keep an eye on against Fred Johnson over there on the right side. 6.5 of his 7.5 sacks this year have come in the last 6 games. So he's kind of found some mojo again after, quite frankly, a bad last year and a bad start to this year. So that's been a pleasant kind of turnaround to see from him. I think also, Chase, when I watch the Eagles offensively, and I haven't watched every snap like you, haven't watched every game, I see an offense that is super conservative, which, again, they like playing like that because they basically are saying, hey, we have better talent than you. We're just not going to make mistakes, and we're going to let you make mistakes. The problem is when you run into a team like Dallas, like last week, who can generate explosives with George Pickens, you get up 21-0, and you kind of just sit on that and expect to win, 21-10, 24-10, whatever. Last year, if that happens, they probably win that game like 38-10.
Yep.
And yesterday, or on Sunday, I should say, they kind of just, it's an old FIFA term for anyone who's ever played FIFA. They kind of just pack the box and just, hey, we're going to try to just not let you score, right? And while Dallas can generate explosives, the Bears can generate explosives.
Yes,
They're the #1 most explosive team in the NFL in terms of explosives per game. That's 10+ yard runs, 20+ yard passes. So I'll be interested. I know it's a short week, Chase, but does Kevin Patullo and this Eagles offense and Jalen Hurts and company, do they change their approach a little bit for this game? I want to get your thought on that after this quick break. I want to tell our fans about a new sponsor here and let the folks watching at home to chime in. Let us know who you got in this game. CHI for the Bears, PHI for the Eagles. We got a lot more to come here on this preview episode. But new sponsor alert, Cash App. Download the Cash App today. Trust me, you're not going to want to regret it there. The holidays are all about finding the perfect gift, but this time of year, not every deal is actually what it seems. Scammers are getting more creative to trick people into sharing their payment info through methods like fake shopping sites and giveaways that are too good to be true. Luckily, Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card. So you can act fast if something seems off. You can also lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. Stay one step ahead of the scams this season and keep your money secure with Cash App. Gift yourself some peace of mind this holiday season and download Cash App today. For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download Cash App, use our exclusive referral code SECURE10. That's SECURE10 in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days of doing so, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a blocking corporation brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. Okay, Chase, let's get back to that thought I have, the conservative nature. You're playing another explosive offense. Does the approach change for Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, Jalen Hurts and company? It's kind of hard to change your identity overnight, but that's something I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, excuse me, that I've been thinking about over the last couple of days, because it's one thing when the Eagles are winning these games and you're the head coach of the team and you're Nick Sirianni and you're saying, well, being conservative has worked. And yes, these games have gotten close. They've come down to the wire, but the last couple of years, we've won them. Mm-hmm. It's another thing when you go up 21-0 and that same approach burns you. And when you lose in an embarrassing way and the heat is kind of on and the team is in this weird spot where they're lacking confidence and a hot Bears team that is confident is coming into your house, does that force you to change a little bit with your approach? Now, it's hard to argue against Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts and how they view this, because I would say that over time they have been a conservative offense, but every year is different. And this Eagles team is different than years prior when they can't rely on their great trench play with their offensive line to really wear you down and then pop some of those explosive plays. Now, you think back to what Sirianni and Hurts have done over the last couple of years. Jalen Hurts since 2022. Now, 51-15 win-loss record as the Eagles starting quarterback. He is 32-1 since 2022, including the playoffs when the Eagles won the turnover battle. Nick Sirianni, on the other hand, as a head coach, 40-2 when his teams win the turnover battle. So at the NFL level, you win nearly 80% of the time when you win the turnover margin. For Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts,
it's like 95%.
It's been even better. Yeah. So they've been one of the more dominant teams when they win the turnover battle, and that is something that they really preach as an organization, taking the ball away and then being safe with the football. But you make a fantastic point. You go up 21-0 against Dallas, then you don't score for the final 41 minutes of the game. And that's a Cowboys offense that is legitimately one of the best in the NFL. Javonte Williams has had a really good bounce-back year. George Pickens, C.D. Lamb, one of the top wide receiver duos in the NFL. Give your props to Brian Schottenheimer, because as a play caller, he's done a good job. And I know we all like to put Dak Prescott on memes, but Dak Prescott has played at a really high level, and they generate explosives. The Bears do that as well. And if you think that if the Eagles go up, Ben Johnson's going to fold, no. Ben Johnson's going to be aggressive. He's going to go full throttle. He's going to put the pedal to the floor. And so to your point, Harry, yeah, I do think that Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, and Jalen Hurts might have a little bit of a different approach if they take a lead in this game.
Here's the thing about the Bears too, Chase, is they generate explosives, but they also don't turn the ball over. 8 turnovers.
Yeah.
So, you know, Caleb Williams is still having some inaccuracy issues at times, but what he doesn't do is throw interceptions. He's got 10 picks in 17, 11, 28 career games. Like, he takes care of the football. Had a bad strip sack last week on TJ Watt, but the rest of the game played a mostly clean game. And, yeah, there's going to be over the course of the game, you'll notice this, he'll miss 3 to 5 throws where you're like, man, like, if you hit that, like, that's a missed opportunity. But he'll also make some big-time throws. He'll keep some plays alive. So he is improving. Going into last week, he was 4th in the NFL in play-action passing yards. That is a staple of Ben Johnson's offense. Well, Harrison, he's not going to be able to play in this system. He's proven that he can. It's not fully there, but you're seeing progression. And one thing that I'm really excited about Caleb in this system right now, Chase, is even when he misses, his eyes, it's the correct play. Mm-hmm. It's just make the throw, right? Like, eyes are in the right spot, progression in the right spot, just missed the throw. So I can live with that if you're throwing to the right person, right? What I can't live with is not knowing to go where with the football, being indecisive. All 3 of his touchdown passes last week, less than 2.3 seconds to throw. So that's hit the back foot, let it rip.
Yeah.
So he is getting a lot better playing on time, playing in structure, while still having the ability to extend. His sack avoidance has been unbelievable this year, whereas last year he got sacked 68 times. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I think the weather it always plays a factor in these type of games. It's not going to be rainy or have flurries, but 40 degrees probably. It's going to be slick out there, I would imagine. Going to be interesting to see how that plays a role in this game.
What do you make of the Bears' point differential? -3, and they are the 3rd team in NFL history with 8+ wins through 12 weeks to have a negative point differential.
Well, they lost by 31 in week 2.
So
that's
a big reason for that.
That is a big reason. Now, they've also been in a bunch of close games. They're
Yep.
6-1 in one-score games,
Yep.
but Detroit, Dan Campbell flexes muscle in week 2. He's like, I am going to pants Ben Johnson. The Bears they started 0-2. They weren't what they are now, right?
8-1 since
they've
then.
gained a lot of confidence. They got hammered. The Bears against the Lions indoors is a bad matchup because the Bears corners without Jaylon Johnson aren't the twitchiest corners. Like Nashawn Wright's been an unsung hero for this team with his length and his size.
Yeah, he's long.
But you get Jamison Williams on him, St. Brown, like very twitchy. Like that's not really his skill set. He'd rather guard boundary receivers. Like I actually think he can hold his own against an A.J. Brown. Like I think he can do better in that type of matchup. So Goff and the Lions just crushed them, and they just dropped 52. But you take that out of it, they're plus 29 or whatever. It doesn't mean they're blowing teams out, but I think it's a little bit of a misleading stat because of that nature. And listen, the Bears have proven they're comfortable in these nip and tuck games. They've been in them all year, regardless of quality of opponent. So I'm kind of with you back to the spread of this game. A touchdown. Philly's offense is shaky within the course of these games. I think 7's a lot. I'm not saying I'm picking Chicago right now. I want to see how the injury reports progress throughout the week, but I like a cover here at least. I think the Bears will be ready to play, and I think this will be a good football game.
This is also one of the biggest Bears regular season games in quite some time, going up against the defending Super Bowl champions. And for the Eagles, obviously, they're feeling a lot of pressure coming off that choke job loss against the Dallas Cowboys. I'll say this, too, about winning close games. I kind of have a saying, like, I think it's a skill. And it's a skill because you have to be cool, calm, and collected. The coaching and the execution late in those games has to be there. You can't have that high level of panic. And with this Bears team, I think that they've been able to win these close games because they're such a better coached team as compared to prior years. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Why have they been able to win close games? Because they played in big games and they're not overwhelmed by the moment. You could say the same thing about the Philadelphia Eagles because under Sirianni and Hurts, they've thrived in some of these close games as well.
Well, and that's where, that's one thing I've really learned to appreciate about Sirianni is, listen, he manages the game really well. Mm-hmm. And listen, ask Matt Eberflus if closing out close games is a skill.
Disaster last year.
He was fucking horrible at it. He just didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know when to call timeouts. Ben's very decisive on when to call timeouts, for example. So, yeah, I mean, I think both these teams are comfortable in those situations. Obviously, the Eagles have more calluses built over the last 3 or 4 years. A lot of their core is still in place. But you mentioned it. This is a low-pressure game for Chicago. It's a huge game for Chicago, huge opportunity. This is kind of a kitchen sink game. Like, if you lose it, it's not the end of the world. If you win it, though, not only is it huge for the team internally, but I think it sends a message to the rest of the NFC like, hey, like, this isn't just some fluky run that's going to win, some team that's going to win 10 games because they've taken advantage of their schedule. Like, no, they just went to the defending champ's house on a short week and won. Like, if the Bears even just play this game close, I think that speaks a lot of volumes. So it's going to be interesting to see because the Eagles, on the other hand, blowing that game, you know how loud it gets in Philadelphia. You lose this game at home on a short week, people are going to be firing Kevin Patullo. Like, it's going to be very, very interesting to see the response of the fan base if that were to take place.
Yeah, I would say right now the panic meter isn't that high. I think the Eagles needed to get humbled a little bit. If they lose this game against the Bears, though, and you lose back-to-back games, then you have a cross-country travel to play a good Chargers team on Monday Night Football in Week 14. That's when the panic meter starts to rise a little bit. And you know this, covering the Bears in a major market. when you have a brand and a team like the Bears, and you have a brand and a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, the iconic logo, the proud history, and a fan base that is very passionate, sometimes things are going to be overblown. Sometimes pressure is going to get ratcheted up. I would have it no other way. As somebody who grew up in the Philadelphia area and covers this team, I completely get it. But this is a team that is built to go back-to-back and win a Super Bowl. And all year long on offense, they've been a very frustrating watch. And people will be calling for Kevin Patullo's head and maybe even Nick Sirianni's head if they lose this game and they really struggle on Friday.
Which that's something if that actually is a talking point. Patullo I get, but I think Sirianni's earned his stripes at this point in time. All right, he's Chase Sr. I'm Harrison Graham. Big game on Black Friday. By the way, if Dallas wins Thursday too, that kind of ramps up the pressure.
That's what I'm saying.
The NFC East thing, back to back,
No repeat winners in that division since 2004.
Philly in 03-04,
yeah.
right? Yeah, so it's going to be very fun to watch. Chase will be live on his channel for the game. I'll be live on Bears Now, so be sure to come check us out. We'll have coverage throughout the week leading up to the games as well, so hit that subscribe button wherever you are watching, and we'll see you guys soon. Have a good day.